And we can hear her. Oh my gosh. Praise be to the spirits in the sky. Okay, so if you didn't miss the other 102 tries, we're gonna like do it all over again from the get, okay? And then we'll just share this to Firebird, and it will be you can watch us from there. Okay, so I am the owner of Firebird Touch Therapy. I'm the creator and lead alchemist, and this is my right hand assistant, brilliant behind the scenes, gets everything done. Fabulous female, Haley. Say your last name, Grossenheiner.
Yeah, or comment, whatever you want.
One thing is your name right, it matters. It matters. So we were over there in Firebird. It's Tuesday tea, right? So make sure you got your teapot. This is my fabulous teapot that was just gifted to me this weekend from my beautiful friend Heidi and her lovely husband Brett. And this is my little teacup. And we're going to make an offering for your ancestors. They're going to really listen today because we already did this on Firebird, and now we're going to do it over here on our personal page because Facebook seems to prefer it if we do it from our personal page and not our business pages. All right. So whatever you need in your life, wherever you are, however, whatever blessings and lessons you need, may they come to you in the kindest way possible. May the Creator lay their hands on you, and may you know that you are truly divine and a spirit of the Creator and a child of God. And this tea, this is for you and your ancestors and all of those who have loved you for always and since always. So today is a beautiful day. I want you to take it in and enjoy it. And here is the offering. Okay, so I have asked Haley to join me on this first live, not just because she's the awesome assistant to me, but because in her own right is a phenomenal generational astrologer. And at the beginning of the year, I was like, what the heck is going on? We had a lot of our own issues within our company. And then she told me, don't worry, Robin, they're only going to last to the end of January. And then something phenomenal is going to happen, and it's going to wipe everybody else out, and no one's going to care about you. And she was right. So can you let us know again what the heck is going on this year, and how long we have to live with this? Because we are a direct reflection of the heavens. As above, so below. There's no separation between, what happens in the sky. I had an uncle who'd say we live in the fifth dimension and remember in the third. So, Haley, what the heck?
Yeah, so this year, I mentioned it in the other live stream, but basically people have been talking about 2020 since I remember like conversations in 2012, 2014 within astrology communities, just because this aspect is so crazy. So basically Saturn, which is the planet of structure, government, kind of responsibility, met up with Pluto, which is the planet of upheaval, transformation. When these two get together, there is a lasting, reverberating change to our structures, to how we conduct things. This conjunction occurred in January in the sign of Capricorn. So I did not know exactly how it would manifest, that it was going to be, pandemic and all of these things, but I did know that there would be lasting, reverberating change to Capricornian themes, which is big business, which is government, which is like the economy, the structures by which we are built on. So with that, and if you follow the two, like they meet up every, I think 28 years or so. And every time they get together, there's some sort of world war or for example, last time it happened was the AIDS crisis, something that results in lasting, reverberating change. So that was one clue that we knew that 2020 was going to be really, really transformative, as well as a foundational year setting forth. The other significant aspect about this year is that we're nearing the United States, in particular the US, our Pluto return. So Pluto is very slow moving. Right now, Pluto is coming back to the same portion of the sky as 1776 when we signed the Declaration. So with that, when Pluto returns to the natal degree, typically this is, like I mentioned, Pluto is power, transformation, upheaval. If you think of a Pluto return, it's basically coming to terms with United States, with our karma, with who's wielded the power, how it's been yielded effectively or not. And it's typically timed, if you look at different countries, it's typically timed with some sort of huge change to the structure of how the company, or rather the country, rules itself, as well as who's in power and how that power is distributed. That exacts next year. So I know, Robin, you're like, when does this end? And it's hard being an astrologer.
It doesn't end. This is my question daily. I call her constantly. How much longer?
And it's hard being an astrologer because at one end I want to like be positive, make people feel uplifted, but on the other, I think next year is when Pluto return is exact.
Did you hear her say next year? Did you catch that part? I want to be uplifting and positive, but Pluto doesn't return until next year.
But I think, you know, a lot of this year has revealed a lot of flaws in the structure of how
we have flaws in our structure. What are you talking about, Haley?
Like, it's just showed that, you know, the country can't keep running this way and how it's not working for everyone. And I think Pluto is coming to kind of upheave and transform our country as we know it. And think about it, it's like scary to know that like these changes and transformations are near, but I think it's very much imminent as well, for, you know, this darkness to kind of bubble up to the surface. Sometimes things have to get really dark, and the underbellies of this world, how we exist in it, needs to show before we can really move forward to enact positive change. So yes, it's probably going to be intense. I'll touch on a couple of things that are happening this year as well. But yeah, to answer your question, 2021 is when Pluto return is exact. Yeah. So
2021. Okay, so what does that mean? Does that mean that the rest of this year is just about us in upheaval and us about like the collective change of that is obviously, you know, like BLM and, you know, people taking down racist statues and you know, the whole coronavirus, but internally, this is also like Pluto is not just affecting the external situations that it's also affecting the internal situations that we live inside of our body and ourselves. So maybe you can like shine some light on why people are feeling so, I mean, we're all feeling some kind of way. That's right. Not like, you know, flowers and like, why is the guy behind me? What the heck? Why is he like knocking down his weeds this morning when they have not been touched for a year? Challenges.
Yeah. I would say when I look at this year's astrology, it's very polarizing. It's like kind of the darkest parts of like human nature are like revealing themselves, as well as like the lightest part and like transformation moving through. Like it's becoming this like huge kind of divide in a sense, and it's super important. I'll touch on a couple of things this like in the end of the year, but it almost feels like there's this old economic and political structure that people are clinging to, and that's when that like darkness reverberates because they're holding on. They can feel they don't have the power of it anymore, so they're holding on really tightly, like, no, we've got to keep things how they are because it's benefiting me. And there's this new way of doing things that believes in equality and economic and political equality in every way that you know permeates, is kind of transforming. So the more that transformation is inevitable, the darker and uglier those trying to preserve the old kind of values and way of doing things, even if it was just serving a couple of few people, the tighter they're trying to hold on. So it almost feels
this is why like the old regime, the old white men that have run America since America was created are like they've got like a knuckle white grip on everything. But the underbelly, the current, the youth, the Aquarian age is pushing up and pushing all of that out right now, right?
Absolutely.
That's why we have so much baloney and so much social unrest.
Yeah, exactly. And the more that side, so like kind of the like old way of doing things, the old white men who've always been in control, the more they can feel that they're losing that control. That's why things are kind of getting like darker and uglier and just more hateful, because it's like they feel like they have to go to extremes to try to preserve the old way, but it's like it's just not going to work. But you're absolutely right. We're shifting to the Aquarian age. The transformation is inevitable, but 2020 is kind of this interesting divide between the old way and the more extreme that they get to preserve that, and the new way of doing things that is permeating and bubbling up. So it's foundational. We're building the foundation and moving forward. But this year and next year, I would say we're going to see a lot more of that ugliest come up. But then
more ugly? Are you kidding me? Like it's going to get more ugly?
Yeah. So one thing I had mentioned to you was I want everyone, if you have a journal or have something to write down, just remember that from September 9th to November 13th. So write those dates, have them somewhere. That'll be Mars retrograde of 2020. So September.
Mars retrograde. Mars. Okay, like a lot of people don't know what Mars, like they don't really know about Mars. So Mars is the planet of war. Okay, Mars is the planet of action. Mm-hmm. Mars is the ruler of Aries. So all of you who have Aries in your rising or in your sun, it's going to be more impactful for you. And how that plays out for the rest of us looks like.
Yeah. So basically, when a planet is retrograde, like right now, Mercury is retrograde, and like we were talking about, like communication gets wonky. Mercury's playing in communication, retrograde, it gets turned internally, and there's like issues with it. Mars, with it being action and war and violence and how we advocate for ourselves, when it's retrograde, expect themes of people feeling repressed and feeling trapped and feeling like they need to lash out in some sense. Astrologers have said during this time, because Mars in Aries is a sign of being free, being independent, being able to do what we want to do in the world. With it retrograde, a lot of people have pointed to this aspect or this retrograde and said we're probably going to be in some sort of quarantine, or we're going to feel really repressed, whether it's like some sort of new rule or new legislation that makes us feel trapped. With retrograde, it's like turned inward. So I would just really be mindful around those dates, because this is the sort of energy where it's like an imploding bomb nearly, because people are like, I don't know what to do with this like violent, angry energy and like wanting to like lash out at people. I would also say look for themes. Mars is also the planet of sexuality. With it retrograde, look for themes of more and more like bubbles up. It squares Pluto, which is the planet as earlier of like transformation and change. More and more themes of like lewd sexual misconduct coming up, particularly like around people who are in power, around like pedophilic rings, things like that. With that Mars retrograde, people who have long gotten away with stuff, it's bubbling up. People are finding out into common knowledge. So I think it's going to.
So we're all. So what is that like in normal language? Common knowledge means that I have to get away from the guy with the freaking weed whacker. Common means that we are, even though we feel like we are massively being repressed, we are actually being given the opportunity to go inside and stretch for our excellence. Correct?
Exactly. Yeah. And really notice your triggers. Aries also governs impulses, like our primal instinct to kind of like take action and react. And I think with that Mars retrograde, it gives us an opportunity to respond rather than react. So rather than see.
Oh, let's stop right there. Let's stop right there. Respond rather than react, because this is something that I personally, who I have an Aries rising, and if you've ever encountered me personally, then you know that that gap time where you hear the information and you have the opportunity to either respond or react is what we're talking about. There's a 30-second, 15-second gap time always with every individual when we hear something that is uncomfortable for us or goes against us or makes us angry, where we can either take it in and sit with it even for 1 minute and figure out how what we see as a pathway obstruction is actually a new direction to take us somewhere else that's better for us. And one of the only way, that's not one of the only way to go from reaction to response is to slow down and take a breath. Mm-hmm. And we think, especially as Americans, we're programmed that we have to be like boom, 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 boom. And we're not. We are high-speed computers, but we also need that stopgap where we can integrate our humanness, our spiritual understanding of who we are and what we really need in our life and our path. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times when we have that reaction, You know, it's coming from something that has nothing to do with the situation that we're in. It has to do with a previous pain tape, you know, something that happened to us before. So that ability to just take a breath and not react, but respond will exponentially change the course of your life. Exponentially.
Absolutely. And
so as a yoga instructor, can you maybe just share like a quick tool or you know, something that you can do so you don't like you've calmed me down exponentially. You know, I'm a on my team.
I think one of the most powerful tools that I kind of utilize, because oftentimes it's like you said, we're responding like an old pain tape or somewhere where we've been wounded and we feel the instinct to like be on the reactive. This is going to seem really simplistic, but for me, just taking a breath, like I breathe, I like picture the breath going all the way to the bottom of my stomach, and then I just slowly exhale. And you'd be shocked just in the time that it takes to breathe, your emotions can go from like operating at this like whole level, like to really calming down. So even just taking a moment to breathe before like firing off or responding can be really powerful. Simplistic, but your body needs oxygen in those moments to think clearly about moving strategically rather than just from those old mechanisms of impulse.
Right. And talking about breathing, let's be clear that we're not talking about we're talking about there is an actual breath where you can help yourself, and that goes in through your nose. And as you feel it go up into your head, you want to bring it all the way down to your belly button, which is your 1 point. And then you're going to blow it out your mouth. So think of it like this: inhaling love and exhaling stress. Try that. You know, that's very helpful. So what can people do with this time that is just so, my dog is freaking out because he's like, I don't like the Mercury retrograde. I don't want the Mars. So how are people going to feel this Mars in their life? Like, and any suggestions on how we can get through, because California just reinstated its stay-at-home measures, and they just closed down all the restaurants again yesterday. And they're, you know, they're getting more stringent again. They're realizing that they have no control. They have no control. They're realizing they have no control. Okay. And you had said that people are not going to go quietly. So can you just give us a little insight on what it's going to look like when, you know, when Mars is in action, like what we as people are going to experience?
Absolutely. So with Mars and Aries, as mentioned, Mars wants to feel free. It's how we advocate for ourselves and stand up for ourselves. When it's retrograde, people are going to feel stuck or disenfranchised in some area of your life. And the Mars retrograde, as it goes retrograde, it'll square a lot of the outer planets, Saturn, Uranus, or not Uranus, sorry, Saturn, Pluto. So with that, it's like feeling stuck against these structures. So you could expect, whether it's like pandemic related or BLM related, there's going to be a lot more protests, people like fighting to get their voice back, because Mars is how we take action and assert ourselves. With it retrograde, we're going to feel disempowered, like we can't take action. So with Mars retrograde, expect to see, you know, a lot more protests, a lot more people firing back. Mars in Aries is feisty to begin with. It's actually already in Aries, which is feisty. So when it goes retrograde, it's like it'll square Saturn, which is structures, government, rules that are imposed on us.
Ooh. So does that mean that we're going to have some problems in our government?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, what do you think astrologically about the, you know, like they want to get rid of the vote from mail thing. The mail vote. During this kind of stuff is going to be really that we're going to be affected by.
Yeah. Mars will be retrograde during the election. So at the time that we are all meant to vote, Mars is still retrograde. It's retrograde from September 9th to middle of November. So a lot of people are going to feel like their voice is disempowered, which I think taking away the mail-in ballot. Oh, your dog is so happy. Oh my gosh. A lot of people are going to feel like their voice, their ability to assert themselves, to vote, to make their voice known, which is Mars, is taken away or suppressed with the retrograde. Something important I do want to note with this election, there is an aspect that is occurring at the end of the year. It's Jupiter conjoining Saturn. It happens every 20 years. And if you go back every time this aspect happens during an election or an inauguration, the president is likely to die in office or have an assassination attempt. Yeah. And
will it happen?
Basically, if you go back, like since like 1840, like William Henry Harrison died of pneumonia. 1860, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. 1880.
Everybody but Reagan. Reagan's the one who broke it. And look at where our economy is going.
He was shot, but he survived. He was shot. Reagan was, but he survived.
But he survived.
George Bush, yeah, last two they survived, but there was an assassination attempt against him.
Reagan have more assassination attempts on him than anybody else.
Yeah. And then thrown a live grenade, which did not detonate. So yeah, so with that being said, with this aspect happening during an election year, it is, and during a Pluto return, whatever happens this election season is going to be really transformative, and it's likely someone, or during Mars retrograde especially, people are going to feel really disempowered. And oftentimes, why I'm kind of being wary of Mars retrograde, especially in Aries, Mars governs war, Aries governs war. I feel like if the election goes a south way, people would kind of resort to violence in some sort of way because they're feeling like their rights are taken away. So just something to be mindful of around September to November is that things could get kind of ugly regarding like primal instinct.
Right. I'm not saying that there's not going to be any protesting. I'm reading comments from somebody, and it's not that there's not going to be any more protesting, but if you notice what happened on the 4th of July at Mount Rushmore, the protesters were met by the National Guard, and Trump created a circle around himself of protection, all right, and pointed the guns at the protesters. So this is the first time in the United States history, except for the beginning of it, where the protesters were being hurt by the ruling government. So let's remember in 1776, when Paul Revere was running through the country and they were pouring tea out into the bay, that they were going against their government. So it's very American to argue with our government. It's an American tradition. It's one of the most beautiful things that we have in our country is our ability to not be in alignment with our government and also be able to speak about it, you know, to act out on it, to protest, to demonstrate, of course, in a peaceful manner. But you know, when you've oppressed somebody for 500 years, like if you've ever had a child or been around a child and you tell that child, no, 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 but you make no accommodations for what they're wanting, you just keep telling them no, that child will inevitably act out and destroy the environment. And that's pretty much what's happening with us as Americans, is that we have been saying no, 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 all right? And our government has been saying, yes, 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 okay, but taking from us, and now we have just had enough. So I think that one of the most important things for us, and the reason why I chose to do this with Haley first, you know, even though, you know, cannabis is our thing, we have lots of cannabis information, and everybody who tunes into us wants to know, you know, how to use cannabinoids to heal their cancer. Well, the bigger cancer is the environment that we live in. And we are at a turning point in our world, in our country, in our maturations as human beings, where it is seriously time for us to grow up, assume authority, and take responsibility, and not in a childish way, because Mars is a childish planet. It's the first planet, and it rules the first house. So if you don't know anything about astrology, that just means that it's the first step. It's ground zero. So, you know, if you've been around a baby or a toddler, you know, or even a grown-ass adult who acts in an infantile way, that's Aries in action, just that kind of thing. So really super crucial. This is why I wanted to do this with Haley, that all of us in our own way, in our own bodies, in our own homes, that we become aware of the fact that we are being pushed on universally. We're being pushed on, and now my dog is freaking out because we all have a problem. Every single one of us, including the dog, has a problem, and we all need to learn how to take better care of that problem and not just act from the problem, but start to find the solution. You know, Western medicine treats the symptoms. Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine treats the cause, and we are being asked door, just like my dog, to shut up and go inside and find that problem that is systemic inside of us, that destroys our peace, destroys our joy, makes us so angry that we have to wear a mask. Because I promise you, that is not a commentary on your civil liberties, wearing a mask. It is not. There are so many other ways that you are giving up your civil liberties every single day, and wearing a mask is not one of them. So we all need to take like a personal assessment of the ways that we give our power away, that we bow down to, you know, the great white father in Washington, and we agree with things that we don't want, and how we can shift it internally. That's why I asked Haley to join us, because it's time for us all to grow up, wake up and die right. I used to say that all the time, just wake up and die right. That means, you know, assume authority, take responsibility, and move forward as a balanced two-legged human being, not a spazzed out four-legged or, you know, multi-legged. You're not a, you know, a centipede. You have two legs, and that provides you the opportunity to walk in balance.
Yeah.
So that's my life.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I really loved how you said that, like, Mars is kind of the childlike part of ourselves. And I think during Mars in retrograde, really acknowledging towards the end of this year, Mars in Aries, it governs that primal impulse, like the part of us that just wants to, like, react right away, or like, oh, I want this, da, da, da. And it's really asking us to regulate that, to notice how we can have that primal impulse, like, manipulated by, like, media showing us certain things, or by even, like, social media triggering certain things. Acknowledging when we feel triggered and seeing how we can respond in an artful way, because often stimuli can be used to manipulate us, to, you know, sway general public, and to think for ourselves. We have to acknowledge when those primal impulses are triggered, and how we can use our ability to advocate for ourselves, which is Mars, in a really thoughtful and strategic way, rather than playing into the hand that we, you know, that they want us to go.
Going to all work on, because that is part of our maturing, is that we realize, is this my truth, or is this just the truth of the pug, the other dog? Yeah. The pug has brought her truth, which is, what the hell is going on in there? What the hell is going on in there? And just like in our life, there's pugs that walk into the room and go, what the hell's going on in there? What the hell's going on in there? Why are you doing that? Why is it like that? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? You know? And people, they throw us off of our center. They throw us off our balance. They make us go, oh, I don't know. What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? I shouldn't wear a mask. I'm hurting myself. The coronavirus isn't real. The coronavirus is going to kill me. I need a mask. I need gloves. You know, all of this is true, and none of it's true. And it all resides in your truth. How you respond, how you go forward, how you choose to operate in a global pandemic. You must move from your truth. And as a mature human being, you think not only what is my truth in this, but what is the collective truth? How am I caring for myself, life, and others? Because that is our job. That is our, yes, Yvonne, you are the pug. My friend Yvonne just said she was the pug, and she is definitely the one who will run in the room and go, what's going on here? What's going on here? So, in their life, and when somebody runs in on you and is like, what the hell is happening? I don't even know. I'm not gonna do that. You have to center. You have to center in yourself. Take a breath and say, is this my truth? If it's not your truth, don't jump in it. Don't give your energy, your power, and your beauty to something that doesn't serve you. You don't need to. There's so much out there that does serve you. There's so many beautiful ways to interact and connect with the universe that we don't need to give our energy to that which does not. And when we are doing that, it's an awesome opportunity to look at where you need to grow. Okay? Because I promise you, what bothers you the most is where you need to grow the most. So if you have a person in your life who's tyranting you, who's making you feel some kind of way, or a boss or a job or something that's just eating at you constantly, that is fodder and food for you in your spirit to look at and grow, evolve, and become something greater.
Absolutely.
So all of our challenges, I think we did a really good job. I think that, you know, Haley's awesome. We're going to drop the website into her directly. You know, she does readings, she does counseling. She is amazing to work with, you know, I mean, and she's the reason why Firebird, like I said, without Haley, there would be no store, there would be no websites, and there would be no newsletter. And I would not be this cool. I would be like, oh, like I normally am, right? Like somebody once, this is the best thing, this hater told me that I was more like a crackhead than a pothead. Like potheads are what? Like asleep? No. This isn't great. Now here's a plug for our company, cannabinoids. There is some science that is beginning to show that the use of CBD, because and only because it helps stimulate your nerve system and repair your myelin sheath, is in some ways, I don't want to say like you know, it works. It helps keep the coronavirus at bay. That is the most innocuous way I could say it. That the higher cannabinoid profile you have in your body, the less likely you are to contact anything. And the coronavirus can be in that category of anything. So Haley is available for all of you guys when you reach out to Firebird, when you you know, email or whatever. A lot of times she's the person who's responding to you. We're going to put our 1-800 number in there. She knows all about our products and all about everything, as well as she knows all about all the stuff she knows about. She also does private yoga lessons online, and you know, she's just helpful in a lot of ways. So Haley, is there anything that you want to say before we close out?
I would just say, even though, you know, this year has revealed so much darkness, I think it's really essential to just remember that darkness is the absence of light, and we as light, and we as, you know, powerful human beings, being empowered to bring that light, and to know sometimes we have to go through the darkest times in order to illuminate more and more people. So astrology isn't all flowers and rainbows, and I'm not going to lie and say it is, but we are powerful, and these shifts and these transitions are so needed. So, yeah.
So needed, because we're growing and maturing. And yeah, so darkness is the absence of light. You know, we always think of darkness as bad. Oh, it's dark. Oh, well, if you just light one tiny little match, that darkness is dispelled. And you know that this little light of mine, that's your heart center. That's you. You're like, just like, remember E.T.? Turn on your heart light. Remember that? Okay, kind of a cheesy ass song, but a truth. So when you are feeling really out of center, seriously, in through your nose, all right, down to your belly, out your mouth, and on the way back up, catch that heart space, catch that heart center, and ask yourself, does this serve my highest good? So we're just about to sign off. I'm going to offer you guys some smudge. Again, we tried this the other 500 times that we were trying to go live, and now that we figured it out, we don't know why we can't do it live from Firebird, but whatever, Facebook, we're smart, you know.
But expect it every other Tuesday, 7 a.m. PST, 10 a.m.
Yeah, letting you know, and we'll be having guests. You know, we're going to go through our team of experts, and then we're going to start. If you have any questions around cannabis or life or astrology, you know, inbox us at Firebird Touch Therapy on Facebook. We both get those messages. You can hit Haley. You can friend her if you're not creepy. I know a lot of really guys are watching her. Okay, don't be creepy, or you're gonna have to go.
Creepers.
So thank you all. I'm gonna give you a little bit of drum.
Yay.
This is what a heartbeat sounds like. So take this drum, take this beat, take this energy, take this smudge, take these words, and go forward. Go into your day. Have a beautiful day, because you are a divine being that is created and blessed by the Creator. You're created by the Creator, and you know, as they say, God doesn't make junk, and you are anything but junk. You are a beautiful divine being. So when you bounce off of us, I want you to walk over to your closest mirror and say to yourself, I am a divine source of infinite energy and light. I am beautiful, I am exquisite, and I am a child of the Creator. So we're going to hang up now. We love you. Share this. You know, a lot of people need to hear what we're saying. That's why we're doing it. So please, you are more than welcome to share this video, throw it all around Facebook. maybe somebody will, you know, who's in need of the words is going to hear them and do better. Don't forget, you know, the smudge, even though it's virtual, sage, cedar, sweetgrass. Let me tell you a little about them. Sage clears the negative ions in the air. Cedar brings the balance, and sweetgrass is the blessing of the grandmothers. Okay, so we have blessed you. We have watered you. And we have inspired you. So go get them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.